actually, I think you might actually skipped ahead to the next day.
No.
Because I vaguely remember that there was no flooding on the first day
after
the storm. And that was the day that we were first noticing after we kind of were taking it easy.
Oh, I think you're right. I apologize. You're right. I'm wrong. I skipped a day, everybody.
That's okay. That's okay.
We had noticed that there were people riding through the neighborhood on bicycles and stopping periodically and kind of looking around and getting back on their bike and then riding a little further and stopping. And
can I jump in here? Yeah, he's right. It's the bicycles because that tipped me off, and I kind of pulled him over to the side. I said, look, these people are on bicycles, and they keep stopping. I said, you know what that means as well as I do. I said, this isn't going to be good tonight. Something's not right. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you're looking at routers. They're sizing the building.
Yeah, right.
And they're in a very wealthy part of town.
Very wealthy.
And they were checking out which houses were occupied and which ones seemed to be not occupied.
I'm going to ask a big question here. Did you have any kind of guns or anything to protect yourselves?
We had our dog, and his boss did have a gun, yes.
Okay.
And there were 2 other dogs in the house.
Oh, yes, there were 2 other dogs in the house with us.
Okay.
So 3 dogs total and a gun, yes.
Okay. We do have a call-in number, 417-553-4277. And if you want to call in and ask our guests a question about their experience, it's 417-553-4277. Okay, so you noticed these people during the day checking out the building, and did you make an effort to show them that the building was occupied and a strong defense, we're here, we know you're there?
The housekeeper was outside during most of the day. She was enjoying herself, actually. She was listening to Cuban music on the...
Yeah, she was kind of sunning herself.
She was sunning herself, and me, I have more of a, I don't know if you want to call it paranoid nature, but I didn't want them to see me. I didn't want them to see the kids. I didn't want them to understand or see that a woman, let alone little girls, were in the house because I didn't know what was going to happen. It was then later that night, after we had had dinner, I think it was also the housekeeper that said, wow, you need to come out here. So we all went outside, and it was pitch black except for the stars. The stars were like how you would see them out west. They were beautiful. And Matt stopped me. We were walking down the walkway, and he said, I had a dream last night. And that's when you told me about your dream, right? That you could just see these vast stars so beautifully. And then I was a little upset.
It's important to note that in New Orleans, due to the humidity and pollution, it's unusual to see any stars or more than a few stars at night.
True.
Very true. It's also the lights. The lights make it almost impossible. New York City is the same way. Unless you can get up above the lights, you can't see anything. Okay.
Right.
So you had a dream.
I think our 4-year-old just woke up. I'm going to go check that. I will be back.
Okay. So Matthew, your dream.
To be honest, Bridget remembers more about the dream than I do, which is kind of interesting. But I just vaguely remember not feeling comfortable with the situation that we were in, and the bad part about it was that I was exhausted. I think I don't know if Bridget was able to sleep during the day or not, but I don't think I did. So I'd been up all night, I'd been up all day, I'd been up all day the day before. So as night's falling on that second night, Bridget's actually more aware of the dangerous situation that was around us than I was, and I basically passed out cold. On top of that, the owner of the house, Sydney, he was the only one with a gun, but I believe he took a sleeping pill that night to help him sleep. So Bridget wasn't really comfortable with that. And the housekeeper, because Bridget had made it aware that she was not comfortable with the fact that people were riding around on bikes, so she kind of laughed her off like Bridget didn't know what she was talking about. So Bridget kind of felt like she was on her own that night. and
Right.
kind of wish she was back here on the phone to kind of give you her side of the story, but
Yeah. That's okay. Just hang on. My children, when, like the Neverbug, she's going to be 13, my granddaughter, and I tell my daughter, I says, do you know what the difference is between me taking care of you and me taking care of, the Neverbug and running her here and teaching her how to ride a bike? And she says, what? I said, 38 freaking years. When you're 20, you could stay up for 4 days straight. When you're 30, it's like, oh man, I need to sleep. Somebody.
Right.
So I can understand exactly, how you're done, and she's kind of feeling abandoned. And
Right.
did anything happen? Did anybody approach the house?
She actually through the night steadily heard the sound of gunshots slowly growing closer to the house we were in. She did hear screams at one point. So this is something I feel guilty about, that I left her to this on her own. Because when I'm out and I'm out cold. It's really hard to wake me up, and especially if I'm exhausted. So there was nothing she could do to wake me up. And it actually progressed to the point where she thought she heard someone outside of the building going through the bushes, because it seemed like there's a lot of noise outside. And she went over to the window, not to where she could be seen, but where she could be heard, and spoke in her deepest, scariest voice that she could muster, and basically started cussing and yelling and saying she had a gun. And the next thing she heard was the sound of somebody running real fast out of that area. So at that point, she started praying. She was praying to anybody who would hear her. I think she even specifically offered up a prayer to St. Michael, among others. And oddly enough, her prayers were answered, just not the way we might have